again, some of the public stories about the wonderful time I had in jail and my work release, which didn't come till months after. I'd been there since June in an 8x10 cell with a bed in the back, a 6-foot bed in the back, a chrome sink with a toilet attached to it, and a little piece of metal sticking out that was supposed to act as a table.
All right, let's do this. You guys are going to want to stick around for this one because we've got a lot to go over, and we are going to do it right. Because guess what, guys? As the new information comes out that, the Berenstain Bear just walked right out the front door of the prison, like I said from the very beginning. And we also have a report that they switched the bodies, like I also said from the beginning. Remember, I told you guys, and very interesting note also, the reason that I was convinced of that was because there was a photograph of the corpse that had run in major mainstream outlets, and you could see its ear. You could see the ear on the person, and then you could look at the bear's ear. It's not the same person. It's just objectively not the same person. That is not the same person. There is no possible way that anyone with a brain could look at that and believe that that is the same person. That is a very distinct ear, and it is not the same. So how do you explain that? Because they said that they had gotten that image from wherever they were at, or you know what I mean? It was like, this is where we got it, and it's not him. It's not him. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the report that came out and verified exactly that they switched the bodies. And then we're going to talk about why and how they did it. And then we're going to talk about the administration reacting to the current file drop and all of that, because it's like I look in every direction and all I see is just total delusion. I see the people who are reacting to it, delusion. I look at the administration, how they're reacting to it. I'm like, delusion. I don't understand what I am looking at. It's like, I feel like I am taking crazy pills for real, because things look so differently to me than they do to other people. And I know that I am a completely unbiased person. Like, I'm unbiased. There's no one who gets just like a free rope. And then there's also, no one that I'll just assume that they did everything right or everything wrong. I don't do that. So we're going to go over that also. But like I said, I mean, there's a lot of crazy pills over there too, all right. So let's start right here after you have subscribed to the channel and then rung the bell, because I have big stuff dropping very soon, and you're definitely going to want to be subscribed because they won't show it to you otherwise. Okay, so here is, this is 2 days before the bear died.
2 days before he killed himself, allegedly, committed suicide. You know what he did 2 days before he killed himself? Epstein's estate transferred $577 million into a trust he created 2 days before his death, and it was called the 1953 Trust. Why 1953? That's the year he was born. A little weird. 2 days before, kind of weird. Either you are like fully prepared, or it's a little weird. Remember how earlier we were talking about Bill Barr connection with the dad and all this other kind of little weird, Bill Barr, New York Times called him the ultimate cover-up general. New York Times called him that in 1992 when they were going through a complete different thing. Imagine Bill Barr's being called the cover-up general 33 years ago by New York Times. Damn! That kind of a reputation for this long. Bill Barr's role as Attorney General during Epstein is extremely significant. Why? Because some are calling this the ultimate potential intelligence cover-up. His background, past behavior in the context of his death led to many describing Barr as a CIA fixer or the guardian of the deep state.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, right? Like when you hear that there is evidence that you just have to, like, if you look at that and you're not like, wait, really? Almost $600 million into a trust that he just created, and he named it the 1953 Trust, which is the year he's born, and then 2 days later, that's not suspicious at all, especially when there's a bunch of clues that would indicate 100% that there's a high likelihood that neither thing, he did it to himself or someone did it to him, happened. I have never wavered on this one time, not a single time, not once. I have told you from the very beginning in 2020 or 2019, whenever I first talked about this on my channel, I always said, guarantee you he's alive, guaranteed. And I will give anyone who can find something different than that, where I said, no, he probably, it's the other way, I will give you $500. At least the first person who brings it. And I really will. Now, a quick preview of what's coming later in the video. Once we get past the initial thing is here. Why don't you guys read that for me right there? I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Why don't you read that for me, okay? So we're going to be taking a look at that later on in the video. And we're also going to be taking a look at this in the video because this is extremely relevant to this guy. Where is it? Right there. This guy, okay? Very important because he is facing some very serious allegations, and I am going to tell you that the most impactful person who would have insight into whether they are true is literally right there, okay? So we're going to take a look at that also, but not before we get into what we talked about. Yeah, so another finding from the file. This is huge. The individual who anonymously posted on 4chan in the morning of his death, August 10, 2019, claiming he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before his death has been identified in the files. Robert Gravalia, an officer at the Metropolitan Corrections Center of New York, has been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted on 4chan claiming that he left his cell Friday evening shackled in a medical wheelchair while at the same time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believes took him away the night before news broke of his death. Wait, so you're saying that people can get taken in and out of jails if you know the right people? I wonder if that'll play into any theories I have coming. The day after his death, the U.S. Attorney of SDNY opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and Citibank for records aiming to uncover his identity following the anonymous 4chan post. Well, I wonder why. I wonder why they would have done that if it wasn't true. Like if it's not true, why would the U.S. Attorney be trying to uncover who this is on 4chan? On 4chan. Someone made a post on 4chan. And they're like, we need to find out who it was because it's definitely not true at all. It's like the U.S. Attorney. Okay. His name was not redacted on his bank records included in the SDNY subpoena response from Citibank for his 4chan post and ties to the same prison officer whose statements were released as part of the prison's investigation into the death. This is huge. We now have validation the 4chan post is a legitimate eyewitness account from MCC prison and that he may have been switched out before the news broke of his alleged suicide. I don't think that I could possibly exaggerate how big of a pain in the balls it is to have to be this careful on every single. It's ridiculous. Okay. It's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Okay. So here is the post that he put up, which was the one that they were referencing. Okay. Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me. But last night after 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell. And here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him in through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. And then they decided that was so non-credible that the U.S. Attorney got involved and tried to subpoena 4chan to find out exactly who made that post. Okay, that's not shady at all. Because, apparently everyone on earth that believes that is very naive of how the world actually works. Okay, so down here, you can see right here, this is requested by, this is a real subpoena. Okay. And here you go. They pulled it. This is unbelievable, dude. Here you go. On Friday, August 9th, 2019, approximately 1:50 p.m., the guy Gravilla passed on to oncoming staff member Officer Davis and Prison Shift SOS Shakir. Inmate Reyes was going. WAB will possibly not return. Inmate who will be needing a cellmate upon arrival from his attorney visit. And that is really him. So he's a real dude and he really was a guard. So let me ask you guys a question. Okay. Do you actually believe that it is more or less likely that, I'm not even going to say it, that I was right from the beginning? at this point, because I'm going to show you Tim Pool's take. It's hilarious. Like, people who are so dismissive of these things, I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, people are so dismissive of, you're like, hey, you know how they told us this thing? I think they were lying. I think that something else is happening. And people are like, oh my God, come on. Come on. There are people who I consider pretty smart, right? And the second that I even bring up the fact that I think that we juked the moon landing, they shut down completely. Like, they just completely shut down. And I'm like, okay, but I'm telling you, like, I've looked into this like a lot. How much have you looked into related to the moon landing? And they're like, nothing. And you're like, but you are comfortable completely blowing off what I'm going to say absent it, while knowing that you have not looked into this at all. It's just so crazy that you won't even listen. This is what I hate about you. This is what I hate about you. So dumb, dude. Okay. Why would you possibly believe them? When do they tell us the truth? So check this out. Days before he died, he gave specific reason for why he would never do that. Days before, he would never do that because he says, it says the notes mentioned and according to the notes, Epstein told interviewers that he could not remember what happened because of his sleep apnea. And he said during his observation, July 26th, it was written that Epstein, quote, does not like pain and never attempted to do that. He said he is of this faith and said his religion, it is against the religion. Against the religion. Okay. Overall, his current protective factors override risk factors, yada, yada. Okay. And they put it as a low risk of that actually happening. And let me tell you something else, guys. If you've watched the interview that he did with Steve Bannon, the one that I showed on my previous video, okay, that guy, okay, one of the weirdest things about him is his demeanor. Like, he's like so unrattled by anything.
Sunday afternoon, September 14th, I think it was, 2008, is when they were working feverishly in Midtown Manhattan at the Lehman Brothers offices and at various law firms around town, and with the Secretary of Treasury in the Federal Reserve, what they're going
September 14th. And again, some of the public stories about the wonderful time I had in jail and my work release, which didn't come till months after. I'd been there since June in an 8x10 cell with a bed in the back, a 6-foot bed in the back, a chrome sink with a toilet attached to it, and a little piece of metal sticking out that was supposed to act as a table. Now, since I was in jail, there were no books. Why? There's no library. No library, but you're in jail. No, I was in jail, not prison. So in jail, I was in a place which was called the Special Housing Unit, which is for the roughest, toughest, meanest people. They had put me there, they said, for my own protection. So I was in a 8x10 cell with a little slit in the door where they would serve my food on a tray about 9 inches by 4 inches. And then as soon as I finished eating, they would take the tray and close it down. And one of the guards said, do you understand there's Wall Street's crashing. I'm worried about my pension fund. What should I do? And I said, sorry, Wall Street's crashing? What's happened? And he said, there's some crisis and some companies are going bankrupt. I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, it's all over the papers. We're all terrified we're going to lose our life savings because we have either a 401k or our pension funds. We don't know anything about money. Mr. Epstein, can you tell us, like, what's going on? Am I going to be able to afford my children's education? Am I going to be bankrupt like this company called Lehman Brothers? And there's another company in the front page today called Bear Stearns. Oh, no, I said. Why? Because that's the company I was a partner in. And in fact, that was a company I had a very large investment in. So, as a great story, I didn't have my Wall Street Journal, but in the early mornings, you're allowed to make 2 phone calls, collect. And when you pick up the phone, you can dial a number, and when the person picks up, they say, you're getting a call from the Palm Beach County Jail. will you accept reverse charges? And the person either says yes, and the call goes through, or the person says no. The person I had called was Jimmy Kane, the president of Bear Stearns. And I said, tell me what's going on.
So are you guys starting to understand who this dude is in terms of like his social circle? During the financial collapse, he gets one phone call from jail, and he calls the CEO of Bear Stearns in the middle of the financial collapse, and the guy takes his call. Takes his collect call. Okay? Hey, but you think it's impossible that he walked out of that jail? It's so dumb. Like, it's just dumb to discount these things. I'm not going to say for sure, but I would say it's certainly much more likely that he's alive than being dead. Okay, so I was actually going to show you this video of Tim Pool's, but he says the guy's name so much that I'm not going to do it because I have to edit it out every single time someone says the name, and I don't have the patience for that right now. Bottom line is, Tim Pool acknowledges that the story's real, and then he says he doesn't think that he's actually alive, which is interesting because, I mean, I would love to hear his theory on why the U.S. attorney got so bent out of shape about a single post on 4chan. If it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, this guard says this, and it's like, yeah, why would the U.S. attorney care about that if it wasn't true? You know what I mean? But nonetheless, what do I know? And as promised, here you go, guys. Let's just take a little look-see at, this is an image related to Lasagna Gate. Let me actually make this a little bit better for you guys to see. Okay. So here you go. You got an email here. It says, here we go. We're going to dump all the way. Hang on. Podesta writes, on another matter, and not to sound like Lanny, but are we going to have to dump all those emails? Better to do so sooner than later. And according to the FBI, this is real. All of those terms are real. They're code words that they use. These are code words. Okay. This one also real. So this is to Barack Obama, Podesta, but this is to Ben Affleck. When we began the pizza arrangement, I thought we were going to be more careful than this. Operating from the White House is not what I originally had in mind. Remember that the hot dogs can come, but if you make a spectacle of it, that will be our downfall. Is this one real? I don't think this one's real. But this one is, okay? Like, that's real right there. That is the spirit cooking thing that, oops, you can't see it. This is the spirit cooking thing that Podesta was invited to. John and Tony Podesta invited to Marina Abramovich's spirit cooking event, which is a satanic ritual that was part of Aleister Crowley's entire ideology or religion or whatever. I don't know, dude. This stuff's real. This stuff's 100% real. All right. So now I'm going to close out with my thoughts on the big guy, the president of the United States. Okay. So here is what he is saying about this. Actually, before I even show this, let me ask everybody a question. Do you guys think that he approved releasing these files? Because I'm hearing it from both sides. Like, I'm hearing it both ways. My personal guess would be no. Absolutely not. Why on earth would he approve the release of files that included a thing that said that he had these teenagers up on a thing and he was measuring their it's like, it's so disgusting. It's so, and for the record, I do not believe that story at all. I don't believe it, dude. That's too insane for him. All I have in this life is my instincts about people. And believe me, dude, I throw people under the bus all the time. Even though, like, I once liked them and then I'd go like, nope, not anymore. All the time. Like, I'm not one of these like dieharders that has no, that refuses to acknowledge anything. Like, as a matter of fact, a good way for you to assess who is a credible source of information and who's not right now is anyone who's not talking about this case at all. Like, anyone who's not talking about this, you can just scratch them off the list. Be like, nope, can't trust them. Can't trust them because either, number one, they are compromised because how could you not cover this? Okay. Only if you're compromised, probably, or they're too big of a pussy to cover it and say what they actually think if they think that maybe he did, or they're too big of a pussy to go on and say they don't think that he did it. It's like, so they're either compromised or they're a bitch. So neither of those options is very good as far as I'm concerned. And I am completely unafraid to say the following. I don't know anything. I literally don't know anything. This is all totally opinion. And my opinion is based solely on, this culmination of information that has come in over the last however long, however many years. Number one being my read on him and my library of information related to his interaction with women. Because let me tell you something, okay? I've said this on the channel before and I will continue to say it. The more wealthy and rich you are, the more you will give away your sexual proclivities. If you're super famous and you're super rich, people are going to figure it out because you can have whatever you want. Okay, like all these musicians, like you can have whatever you want as it relates to girls. And unless someone is like insanely cagey, they will not expose, they will expose it. Drake, Drake's on X and he's like, I'm just a big fan of high school basketball. Dude, there's not a single person who's a fan of high school basketball unless they're a parent of a girl or someone who likes to, hit on girls that they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And, R. Kelly, same stuff. Dude, every single person who has some kind of weird thing, they get found out, And do you understand how much we know about what this guy's into? He wasn't even moderately careful. He got caught all the time. He was super reckless, and it was always with grown-ups. So I just don't believe it. So what? He just was like, oh, you know what, dude? Yep. All of a sudden I am into teenagers. It's just weird. I'm not saying I know for sure. Of course I don't know, but I just, and the outlandish nature of these accusations is crazy. And there's no supporting evidence. And as a matter of fact, there is major evidence that it's not true, which I will show you in a second. But first, I want to show you where he is being absolutely either delusional or trying to spin this thing. And in either way, there's I don't know what the right move is here because it's just all bad
to do, because that whole thing has turned out. Other than Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and lots of people there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office.
So again, the way that you got to look at this is he doesn't have another election to win. You know what I mean? He doesn't have another, but this is a delusional take. If he really thinks that this is blowing back on the Democrats more, that's not accurate, man. That's just not accurate. All anyone was looking at is whether he was in there. And I realized to him, he sees these ludicrous, this kind of outlandish stuff. And he's like, what? Or maybe he's just pretending he doesn't know about it. Or maybe he actually doesn't know. But either way, dude, it's bro, have you been on the internet, guy? There's no scenario where this is affecting anything other. This is terrible. This is a horrific look, dude. Okay. A horrific look. And it's and also these guys, if you think this is blowing back on the other side, you're crazy because they would burn the world down to bring him down. But the reality is if you play it out in your head and you're like, okay, what's the actual likelihood that the Berenstein Bear actually had something on him. They were arch enemies, dude. All over the files. There's all kinds of stuff that just demonstrates that. Where it's like you have these random weird things that mention him, but then but the ones that are like from the brother to him, they hated him, dude. They hated him. So like, why, if he had something on him, why would he not put it out? You know what I mean? Like, why would he not put it out? But here is the thing that I was referencing as it relates to, there we go. Okay. So this is honestly the reason that I actually feel comfortable enough to just be like, dude, I'm not buying it, is because this is the attorney who represented all of the victims in the Florida case. There was like 200 girls. It might have even been more than that. Okay. And then this is what he said about the entire thing.
A lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave.
Thank you.
And gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. So,
do you know if there's any truth to James Patterson's claims that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago?
I've definitely heard that.
Okay, just listen to this.
As a lawyer and your experience, is there anything
So, again, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what a credible source looks like. Like, this is what a credible source looks like. I'm not being biased here. This is just a fact. Like, you have the attorney who represented hundreds of victims in the area where the president was, and where the Berenstein Bear was at the same time when they were friends. Okay. And the attorney for all of the victims says no one else helped except for him. So like, I don't understand. It's like I don't know if people just don't know about this or if they intentionally ignore it. But like, for me, it's like, I need to see more than just like, oh, hey, by the way, there's this random thing in here, and this file was compiled by people who literally despise, like, he is their worst enemy. So like, I'll tell you right now, if this guy would have said that he did it, I would believe him. If he's like, I represented these victims and this guy was a perpetrator, I would be like, I believe him. 100% I believe him. Why would I not? But like, what reason is there to believe that he did this? Because it's written down on a piece of paper from an anonymous source in a file compiled by his enemies. Like, I don't understand. I genuinely do not understand why anyone is considering any of that stuff credible. I just don't get it. I don't see it. I really don't. Like, I genuinely don't. So that's what that is.